Okay, the next thing from being able to landmark and being able to range out, being able to define a range of space for your subject matter to fit into, um, I'd like to talk a bit about composition. So, when you are composing something, you have to decide again what you're going to draw. We are stuck again with the blank page, so you got to figure out when you're going to draw something. Before I go in there and landmark things, before I start to place down the known points in space that are going to help me see into the canvas, I'm going to have to decide from what angle I'm going to look at things. If I'm going to look at things, this is my picture frame. If I'm going to look at things from above, then the horizon line is going to be up high. It's going to shift up. Actually, it's probably easier if I just show you on the sketching on the 3D program. See, if I look at things from a low angle, see how the horizon line drops? And when you look at things from above, watch the horizon line. Goes way up and up and up and up and up. So where you place your horizon line, the depth at which you place your horizon line, is going to have a very large effect on the ground plane. So you're looking at it from above, you're looking at it from the side, and then there's Dutch tilt and a bunch of other things. But consider from what angle will you be looking at your subject. Look down on your subject when there's something interesting to look down upon. But otherwise, you want to look up at your subject, then move the horizon line, to the bottom of the screen. And then since we are very close to the ground, that's going to require very squished X's. And then I can draw something that I look up at. So even if I'm in the 3D drawing program, let me start a new. Oops. Well, I think I botched it. Oh well, not that I care. Oh yeah. This is one of the reasons why I like drawings, because when you're using on a 3D program, it's trying to figure out what position that you're drawing in. It's trying to figure out what axis you're drawing in. So 3D programs are prone to make mistakes. They're prone to misinterpret things. And when you draw things, well, the interpretation's up to you. But anyway, just looking at this one rectangle, as you look up at it, you can see how the top starts to shrink. You look down upon it, the opposite occurs, right? So when I'm in my drawing program, you're going to have to alter the shrinkage on your object as it goes up into the sky. So another thing to watch out for. But I wanted to talk about composition. So if you wanted to compose a landscape, I want to look down upon this landscape, so I'm going to shift the horizon up a bit more. I'm going to place there. Now I already have the feeling that I'm looking down upon it. I would like to have a lake that's surrounded by some mountains or just landscape. Actually, if anything, I'm gonna let the lake move the lake further up, and I'm gonna have the lake come around here into the foreground. There we are. So moving the lake to the point where it touches the horizon line has made that edge of the lake go very, very far. So the lake comes around in front. I can just by my positioning of these things, I can easily throw in some mountains. And really, come on, this is just a scribbled line, but it's where it is. It's the fact that you get the sense that it is far off in the distance that you think they are mountains. Now I can help the illusion along just by adding overlap lines, by extending these lines inwards, right? Overlap lines is like that. One line overlaps another. The line that's closest is the one that overlaps and interrupts the other line. So you'll see how this line here, this line is overlapped and interrupted by the line that is closer. So landscapes are surprisingly easy to do if you have your sense of perspective. If you can maintain your sense of perspective, it's just a lot of, it just winds up being the more effort you put into putting in details, and as long as you've got your sense of space, I'm just wrapping lines that travel over the mountains. It's really not that hard. It's really quite forgiving. It's not like trying to draw characters and people. A lot of people say, "Oh, landscape's tough," and the people that say that for whom landscape is difficult are people who lose their sense of perspective when they look at the screen. So really quite easy. And then I can go and I can, if I wanted to add vegetation, it's just like just more scribbling. And each one of these scribbles just goes off. I'm just using the overlap. And the scribbles, as I get further and further off into the distance, I use smaller and smaller and higher frequency scribbles. But as things get closer, my scribbles, see how they start to meander a lot more and they start to wobble? You just have to be able to control the scale of your scribbles, and it's something that I do intuitively because I can tell, oh, I'm really far off, so I got to use really tiny scribbles, or I'm really close up, so I can use really big scribbles. It's because I'm not trying to draw vegetation, I'm simply trying to draw and place in space these things. And then clouds can work very much the same way. I can do the same thing. So it's a joke, really. It's all just a really really big joke. It's not going to kill you to do landscapes this way. But the thing that most people have trouble with now, right now, see this? I'm doing my overlaps. I'm just making so that certain bits of the landscape are sliding off into the water and overlapping each other. There it is. I'm just using this overlap line to do it. But it's really not that hard. And as the lines get closer, I'm using, I'm applying more pressure to the stylus, or to the pen, so that the lines get thicker. But that was easy, wasn't it? It's that's how you deal with landscapes, and buildings follow all the same trends as the it just means that the closer things are, the larger your structures are going to have to be. See? So I can make a big building here in the foreground and make smaller buildings down there, make even smaller ones. That's all it takes, guys. It's not rocket science. Okay. Anyway, that's a wrap.